Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is. Hey, so welcome back. It's good to see you all. It is Tuesday, and we've got a kind of a packed schedule of things we're going to talk about today. It's all going to revolve around Tina Peters and that guy, Jared Polis. Now, keep in mind that Jared Polis is the governor of Colorado. Him and Phil Weiser and Jenna Griswold, the three musketeers, along with investigators, other lawyers, DAs, people that have stood in the way of justice and have done so for quite some time. These are the people that we're going after. This is the epicenter of the theft of elections. And how long has it been going on? I would venture to say that elections for the last 20 years have been stolen. So let me just tell you what that means to you as I bring our guest on here in a minute. How many laws did they pass by stealing elections? How many people that were erroneously put in positions of trust because of fraudulent elections? How long have these systems stole the voice of the American people? And can we go back the last 20 years and wipe all of those laws off the books? See, the reason why they're walking this tightrope is they know that if they admit that it's machines, they admit that it's the mail-in ballots, then they also are admitting that the fraud that we have today means you live in a paper tiger society. And guess what? I don't think that I'm right. I know that I'm right. But they didn't want to create any sort of legal culpability. That means no judge that is in a position of trust over the last 20 years should be in that position of trust. But then again, we've been trying to get term limits in the Congress for how long? 30, 40 years? It's supposed to be representative of the people. The people overwhelmingly, over 95% of the people in this country want term limits. Did we get that? No, because we live in a slave state. We're going to talk about a lot of things today. We're going to talk about cash money, Kardashian Patel. You know, oh man, I can't even get into the fact that it's such kabuki theater. I'm really glad that there was a picture put up by Ryan Fortier, and one of the picture he had, it had a bunch of people that are in President Trump's cabinet, and noticeably absent were Kardashian Patel and, well, Kardashian Patel. Oh, well, there's a few others, but I mean, let's talk about the ones that I think noticeably should not be there. Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. Two really bad people, in my opinion, that are not serving the interests of the American people. Let's get to it. I'm not going to waste a lot of time. We have Juan Savin that's with us right now. We're going to go through and do a Tina update. Before we bring him in, I want to go through something really quickly. I'm going to bypass the stuff on the Kardashian Patel. I do want to play this cut. This is discussing election fraud during a briefing with the president last week. This is Tulsi Gabbard. And then I'm going to show you the report from Rasmussen. But let's play this cut first. Cut A3.
I've got a long list of things that we're investigating. We have the best of the best going after this. Election integrity being one of them. We have evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time and vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections.
Okay, so let me get to it really quick. And I'm going to say it as nicely as I possibly can. Cut the shit, Tulsi. Don't tell me that it's vulnerable to hackers. It's inside of the machines. This is a slap in the face of every single person that's been out there working on election integrity. Every single person. Every report that's ever been filed, every piece of information that's been given, you walk past it and you sniff the ass. Look, I got to tell you something. I actually think Tulsi Gabbard's a good person. I think she'll do good work. I'm glad that we got a Democrat inside of the administration that actually cares about the American people. But what you just saw is garbage. They're vulnerable. They think the American people are stupid. And maybe a large portion of the American people are stupid. Because if you actually believe what she's saying, it means there are foreign actors that are looking inside the machines, not people that conspired individually to steal the voice of the American people. This is absurd that we could sit here and say that it's someone in some other country that's pushing buttons and doing all sorts of things that are nefarious in order to steal elections. It would even be more absurd that you'd try to say that it's only the presidential election, that they're not stealing elections at every level so that they can slowly take over the melding, the ethos of our nation, community by community, state by state, and that's what they've done. Here's a post that was put up by Rasmussen poll. Good morning, public sources. You have to wait until at least January. No explanation. Obviously, a political calculation and the wrong one. Tulsi Gabbard reports the machines are done and findings could be begin to prepare the voters for shocks to come. Gross political negligence. Well, let's get into this actual post, if you would. And you'll see that there's more. There's more to be said. Fall of the machines. Status update. From all the public sources, Dominion was sold in September under still secret terms. Why in the living? Why would the thing why would the elections? Why would your voice be done under some sort of secret deal? Tell me why it would be hidden from the American people. Tell me what that makes you when our elections are done under some sort of secret guise that, hey, you know what, Joe, sit down, shut up, go sit over there in the corner. You don't deserve to know what the elections are. I know we take 56 cents on every dollar, but I need you to go over there, sit down, and shut up. Slave. That is, in essence, what is being said. You know, we want to sniff around the edges. We don't want to talk about truth. We certainly don't want to give the American people back the tools that they need, the power that they need in order to govern themselves. No. We've already made the decision that the World Economic Forum is going to do what it does. And even though we're trying to tell you and we're trying to placate the American people and negotiate with you on what the outcome is, here's the outcome we want. We want our country back. We want you to sit down and shut the fuck up because, frankly, we don't have any trust in any of you. And when you tell me that I have to wait till January, I've got a serious problem. When you jail Tina Peters behind what can only be described as a criminal cartel, I have a problem. When you send in Guido, another warden from another prison, to come in and say, you should have come to us rather than whistleblow, I have a problem. So joining us today is Juan Savin. I think he has a problem with everything that I have a problem with. It's probably pretty clear that we have a problem. And you know why we have a problem? Because you're a bunch of frauds. Now, there are people doing great things, but you tell me to sit down, shut up, and you have to wait till January? You told us in September we'd have it. You told us in October you'd have it. You told us in November we'd have it. And here we are still waiting. Tina Peters has been in jail for 16 months. Please tell me where the justice is in that. Or is it just us? The criminal cartel frauds against the American people. Juan, welcome to the show.
Hey, bro. You know, we're both equally pissed off.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, Juan. I mean, look at what we're dealing with right now. You have to sit down and wait till January, and then they change the narrative.
Yep.
Tell me they haven't changed the narrative, Juan.
Well, okay, let me pull back in the reins just a little bit. I'm pissed off as all get out, and you know that I've been fighting especially hard since Tina's birthday. We had an understanding that she would be out by her birthday, hopefully before, but even when her birthday came and went, September 11th, and even in the days afterwards, you know, we're going to work it out. It's going to get worked out all the way up to the habeas corpus. You know, we're going to get justice for Tina. Even the president reached an end with this delaying over at the Justice Department. I don't know if you knew this, Joe, or if your listeners knew this. When President Trump issued the pardon, he did it unilaterally without any involvement, assistance, contact, review by anyone at the Justice Department. Nobody there had anything to do with that executive order or that pardon that Trump did. That was all generated inside the White House. He told the attorneys inside the White House, write the pardon up. This is what I want to say. Get it done. Have it ready for me in a few hours. He was just done. And then, of course, over the weekend, he sent a note over to Pam Bondi. What's the problem? What's the status in all these different cases? And no, they're not going anywhere. When are you going to get on it? And of course, you have to think about Pam Bondi. Why was she even chosen for the job? You had to have somebody that you could get past Senate confirmation hearings. Trump couldn't just pick, say a Sidney Powell. He never got her past the confirmation hearings. So you could have sat there and just had, delay for months and months. You got somebody in there, got things rolling to a certain extent. Is Pam Bondi long for that office? She's shown her allegiance into really the Bush camp. That was who, Jeb and family and all that. They're cheering her on to delay things because they hate Trump. And she's a useful tool in that. So I don't think she has a long life. And I said from the beginning, hers was an interim role just to get past a checkpoint or two. We're about to enter into a whole different space right now that is completely different than most anybody's imagined up to this point in time. I don't know if you know, Joe, that it was announced just a couple hours ago that the president's doing an address to the nation tomorrow night at 9:00.
I did see that.
Yeah. And of course, what's the context? He has not done an address to the nation during this term. It's one thing to have people into the Oval Office, you're signing a bill, you're noting their contribution to the country, do something at a rally, something out in the Rose Garden or whatever you want to call it now. But this is different. An address to the nation is a different weight. No other distractions. Yes, something he wants to tell the country. There's probably three main subjects that he would address. Venezuela and the reason why we have to go in there and decisively take out Maduro. There's, which of course also goes to the vote problem, scams, the theft, the steal, frauds, not just in the United States. And this is the other thing. I want to temper everything that we're doing in the way you just discussed it just now, and the way that we predominantly discuss these issues, especially because you and I are on Tina, we're going to get her out now, not in months. But it doesn't fully address the global nature of the fight we're in. The guys that we have in the U.S. now that are testifying before grand juries that we got out of Venezuela and other locations, they have, in their affidavits, in their testimony, said that they stole the elections, engineered the elections, put people into power who weren't the will of the people in 71 countries plus the United States.
Yes.
So you think of the magnitude of that. Over half the world that's supposedly the free world where we hold elections for people in power, their leadership is there through fraud. How do you think the world's going off course like it is? Because the whole world, all the leadership, and it's not just at the top of the ballot, it's down the ballot. So the whole world is suffering under false leadership. How do we solve that? Well, we have to lead the way in America with changing the way we do our elections. Trump, I'll tell you about behind the scenes in the White House. There was a couple of different groups that were pushing for, changing things, and Tulsi wasn't one of them, by the way, but allowing machines to still be used in the election. And Trump had virtually no support, even within his inner staff, to go to a hand count paper ballot. No machines involved at all, anywhere in the system. Not a one. Okay. And I have some personal knowledge on this that I'll spare it for now. But the long and short of it is that Trump is going to declare to the nation somewhere in here shortly that when we redo the elections from this point forward for 2026 anyway, and most likely 2028, no machines, hand count, paper ballot, counted where cast, 1 day vote, no mail in, except in the most extreme cases, well documented, and military. No drop boxes. Okay. Uh, Under those terms and in those circumstances, you get the first honest vote that you've had in America in, almost forever. Uh, and it's going to go far right. Okay. Trump won in so many places where they said that Biden won. The data that we have, the people, their testimony, it's all about 2020. Trump won 2020. So, what crimes against the whole world, not just the US, against the whole world, were done in this falsehood of Biden being the president of the United States? What agreements, what money spending, it just doesn't end. So, once we get honest elections here in America, we lead the way. Now we have to go out and be our brother's helper, not our brother's keeper. We're not going in there to be tyrants. We're going to help the rest of the world run honest elections also. So it's about more than just the U.S.
Well, Juan, when we talk about more than just the U.S. and the elections in the United States, we also have to be honest about a few things related to that, and that the entire world has been consumed by this, what you could all be described as evil, rot. Right. So we look at what happened in Europe and the fact that they created a European Union, and then inside of that they imported millions and millions of refugees who took over their streets and pushed the people that have been there for generations out out of their homes. So and this is purposefully done in order to create this conflict, and it's obvious that the conflict will be created. But how are we going to go into other countries and institute free and fair elections when the people within our own government, the government structure itself, are deeply connected to these systems, this globalist society? Call it globalist, call it World Economic Forum, call it the Soroses of the world. We're infiltrated even on the right. Like, there is only one party that really represents these interests, and we're not in it. We're not in that party.
Yeah, no argument for me. At some higher level, let me just say this, and I'll say it during all of my interviews because it's so core to this, but most Americans have no concept. The largest agency of government, which you've never heard of, that handles continuity in government between elected administrations, that exact wording, go to the website for Senior Executive Service. They have hijacked operations in America. That goes back to the Carter administration and also the creation of the Inspector General's office. When the CIA got eviscerated during the Church Committee hearings, the lead up to it and post 75, 76, that's when you heard about the drugs, LSD, being given to innocent Americans and soldiers and like that, all sorts of crazy stuff. MK Ultra, mind control things, Mockingbird Media. All the big media were on the payroll to CIA, still the same today. So in response to that, that's when George Bush came back from China as the business advisor to China under Nixon. Because we didn't have an ambassador to China at the time. And then he becomes, he's a businessman, a very good businessman with Zapata Oil. So he becomes director of CIA because we need a businessman to run the agency and not just another governor functionary, okay? A bunch of bullshit. What was their deal? Bush and crew, these, skull and bones crowd, Council on Foreign Relations crowd, Rockefeller groups, they needed something to counter the pushback that was coming from the Church Committee hearings, and it was Senior Executive Service and Inspector General's office, created by executive order from Carter, out of whole cloth, and they're the ones that are in charge of controlling government officials, giving them retirements and jobs beyond their normal roles, including congressmen and senators are on the payroll at senior executive service. FBI, CIA, National Reconnaissance Office, every office of government, because they're supposedly providing continuity in government. And they're the ones that are actually pulling the strings behind the scenes, even to senior people in Colorado, all through the system. And it's the same across the states, but especially in Colorado. And if you look at what Trump's fight is, by the way, the other side of the coin is it's NORAD. This is continuity in government. If we were, say, under nuclear attack, this is why the nuclear side is so important. Biden never got the nuclear codes.
Okay.
Okay. He was never in charge of the nuclear deterrent response.
The football. He didn't have the football.
He never, it was there, but he didn't have nothing he said mattered. Okay. Trump, when he addressed the generals, and this is, I'm going to tie this back to Tina, but just bear with me for half a second. Trump, when he had all the generals out in Virginia a month or so back, when they got there, when Trump came out and addressed them, he said, I am 45, 46, and 47.
Right.
Now, this is important because context. Within the context of the audience that he was speaking to, the generals, he was just telling them that in the most crucial, fundamental way, the nuclear deterrent, the biggest gun in the room, he never relinquished, never gave it. He never conceded the election. He didn't pass the baton. And the other thing that you have to bear in mind is he came out to Colorado back in 2020. On March 13th of 2020, he declared a national emergency related to COVID. Okay, the COVID crisis. So he declared a national emergency within that constraint. Then he flew 2 days later out to Colorado, went to Cheyenne Mountain, and did a tour inside of Cheyenne Mountain. Cheyenne Mountain is the core of a much bigger operation with North American Command, NORAD, and which is our nuclear deterrent. When he walked through, after he completed the tour, because he'd had it all upgraded, freshened up, everything as new as could be. And you have to remember the rest of the context was prior to Trump coming in, the Obama administration wanted to close down NORAD, wanted to shut the whole thing down, shut up Cheyenne Mountain, and move control and authorities to other places. They wanted to break it up. Trump came in and reinvented, rebuilt, reconstituted Cheyenne Mountain and 100 other facilities that are related. He also put Space Force, created Space Force by executive order, and then moved all communications, all of the services and federal agencies under Space Force's control, and then put Space Force in control of communications and operations security for NORAD, for Cheyenne Mountain. Why am I saying all that? Because Colorado literally is where SES is trying to express all its control and operations in direct defiance, opposition to NORAD. It's the center of the fight. You understand, this is all about continuity in government. Now, the fight has evolved to this exact moment in time in this way. Trump issued a pardon. Trump, as the president, has superseding authority over everything going on here. He issued a pardon for Tina Peters. The governor of Colorado says that his state has more authority in this matter than the president does. And it's a standoff. Now, Peter Tickton, in his letter to the president last week, which I'm sure you've read to your listeners, said that no issue of this specific type has ever been adjudicated concerning the federal and states' rights. You'd think, oh, well, there's lots of cases, not in this kind of a situation. No, doesn't exist. So with that in mind, you're going to have to adjudicate this. In the meantime, the tie goes to the runner. Trump wins. Federal supersedes over, uh, has predominance over the state, and all of those state employees, if they want to listen to the governor or to the president, have to make a choice. But the president's going to win this. They are obligated to uh, obey this federal pardon action and not the governor. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. Fully.
And let me just add this one thing, just so that you know. Here's the crisis that is in the prison system right this second. Colorado has a supermax prison. That's where you got El Chapo and the Unabomber and all these other things. Okay,
Yes.
The prison guards belong to Federated Employees Union. Okay, and
On the federal side or on the state side and federal side?
both state prison guards and federal prison guards belong to the same union. Now think about this. If you're
Okay.
a prison guard and you're guarding in a federal facility, are you going to say that Polis has authority over what you're going to say and do? No. But you see, the problem is those same prison guards have to then say, oh, but I do believe Polis is in charge here in this matter, except no court's ever found that. There's never been a decision on that. All you have is Polis telling you that the states' rights supersede the federal authorities in this situation.
It's kind of like judges telling President Trump that he doesn't have authority as a commander in chief to do the things that he's doing nearly 200 times.
Right, and the point is that that's why Trump had all of the generals out there at Virginia to make sure they understood. They heard it from him directly. I'm in charge. You got a problem with that? You're out of here because I'm in charge. And here's the other thing that's not really realized by most people. So when Trump sealed up Cheyenne Mountain, see, he came out to Colorado, did the tour of Cheyenne Mountain. When he came out of the mountain, he walked up to the media press that was there, and he said, out of an abundance of caution, because we may already have been attacked, we may be at war and not realize it yet. So out of an abundance of caution, I'm ordering the mountain sealed up. Now think about it. The context is when COVID was first being presented in the immediate days, half the population of the planet's going to die, and people aren't going to be able to function, and they're not going to be able to go to work, and we can't, 6-foot distance, all arbitrary bullshit. And so he orders the mountain sealed up so that the personnel there who don't have COVID, somebody doesn't spread it amongst them, to seal it off from contagion, right? So when was Cheyenne opened up? Now I know that Biden ordered it.
Yeah.
And I know they've let the outer door be flopping in the wind open a little bit for people to see. And it's related to 100 facilities. You're in a continuity of government battle between senior executive service and NORAD. And Trump didn't pass the baton, and Biden didn't receive the nuclear codes. Now, just pause for a second, because we may have people here that haven't heard me say this before, so I want to say it one more time clearly. I said from day one, in the first hours after Mar-a-Lago was raided, I said they're looking for the biscuit. The Biden people have been looking for the biscuit all along. And the biscuit is the card, it's bigger than a credit card, that the president must carry on his person or have within arm's reach at all times. And it has the response codes for any type of emergency that would involve nuclear. And by the way, the clearances involved to have anything to do with nuclear, you have lots of nuclear materials, but they aren't of a weapons grade. So if you're involved with handling, movement, authorizations, etc., for bomb grade nuclear materials, you must have a Q clearance. And it's not a military clearance. Most people don't know that. A Q clearance is a Department of Energy clearance. Okay. And so you have to have a Q clearance to, load bombs on a fighter, bomber, whatever you might have, move them around in the warehouse, inventory, things like that. You have to have a Q clearance. Um, that clearance, is very unique and special. Trump never conveyed the nuclear codes to Biden. Remember, he was still president when he left the White House at 7 a.m, got on Marine One, went over to Andrews, got on Air Force One, flew down to Palm Beach, walked all the way into Mar-a-Lago, into his home, and he was still president of the United States because he didn't go to the inauguration. He didn't pass the baton. He didn't concede the election. That card isn't in duplicate. One person has it. And by the way, the president, the commander in chief, can never hand that card to, say, Melania. Here, hold this for a second. Okay. He can't give it to, oh, no, he can give it to like the guys that are carrying the football, the briefcase. No, he can't. What, then they'd have communications, then they'd have the codes? Are you kidding? No. No one. It says in the code, which goes back to 54 concerning nuclear and beyond, that he has to maintain it on his person or within arm's reach at all times. Then the football has to be within 2 doors of him. When they wanted to get him arrested, what they wanted to do, they wanted to strip search him to find the card. Because if he doesn't have it on him or within arm's reach, then he's in violation of the 54 code. And if he's holding control of the nuclear football, then he's in violation of if they put it in the sock drawer in Bannon's room. Okay. And in fact, that what I'm saying is absolutely 1,000,000,000% correct because of what Trump said, even though there was speculation all through from the date that they invaded Mar-a-Lago. And I said, they're looking for the football. And they said, no, they're looking for the blue book related to, Crossfire Hurricane. They're looking for the records Trump has from the Epstein stuff. They're looking for, 50 other things, supposedly that Trump has. Nuclear information about one of our allies or enemies.
So here's the problem, Juan. Juan, I got to go back. I got to go backwards on you for a minute. Here's the problem. Here's the problem that I have. Right now, we're 11 months into the campaign for President Trump being president. Correct?
Oh no, I'm going to bring this all current in a second.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
We've only undone the 4 years that Biden was in office. There was approximately 430 bills that were passed. Correct? That basically stripped people of rights, took away, implemented the Green New Deal, done all sorts of harm. We have only undone less than 30 of those.
Mm-hmm. Well, Trump did say that any auto pen signed things are now null and void.
Yeah, but that's not, he has to put an executive order out there on each one of those by law, because otherwise it's not by statute. In other words, he can't just say it. And the only time that a president can say something, and it is a declassification of classified material, he can just utter the words and it becomes declassified.
Okay, and here, let me help you out here on this. I think here's part of the thing. You don't want to unravel things completely. It's one thing if you have a seam that comes out on a jacket, and you can have it sewn up and you never even knew it happened, or a sweater or something. If it starts to unravel, it's very complex to put it back together. What Trump has to be very careful to do, the cure can't be worse than the disease. If he does things that are just unilateral and it just completely unravels stuff, you could cause damage that you can't quickly repair. So there's a methodology to going in and unwinding all of this carefully so that you don't have further chaos. Our enemies would love for Trump to come in and just rip everything apart, and all of a sudden the ship of state, here's the way I say it, because my boat, before I sold it, pretty good size 100-footer, 200 tons. we have what's called a hull speed, a minimum hull speed at which you still have steerage. And by the way, if you're in a current and you're moving with the current, like say in a river, you have to go faster than the current that you're in. And you have currents in the ocean like that. And like on mine, I had a hull speed, a minimum of about 3 knots. If you weren't going 3 knots, you weren't steering anything. You were just wandering aimlessly. You have to be cutting through the water in order to be able to steer it and pick a direction, etc. Trump cannot allow the country to fall below steerage speed and unwind things in ways that can't be fixed while you still have steerage. So, but this is part of the reason for the national address tomorrow. There's a number of things he's addressing in this, and injustices are included, such as Tina's situation. So, with this national address tomorrow, you're also in the season. I said, quite a few times here just recently, I believe Trump is intending and always did. Why didn't he do something sooner on Tina's? Because I'm just so, her health won't wait. And that's what I've said over and over. I know that there's a plan to do things within certain windows, but her health won't wait for us. And so they've taken action to help secure a situation. He issued the pardon. They don't want to honor it. He's not going to stand by with his hands in his pockets. He's going to take decisive action. And what does that decisive action look like? He's addressing the nation tomorrow. I believe it's one of multiple addresses he intends to do over the next month, explaining where we're at, where we're going. This one tomorrow is the first shot across the bow. And then the next ones are direct hits on the battleships, okay, which are a national emergency concerning elections. He will sign that just like he signed the national emergency concerning COVID. Then a couple of days later, we'll sign the executive order, which he's already said he's going to sign. He's just waiting for the attorneys on it. My team put together what I believe is the framework we've been told privately for what he's going to do, and it's about 80 or 90% of what is in that executive order, which we've put out to the public for everybody to review. It's the proposed version of the executive order for Trump to sign, and you'll be able to go and look and see, here's what we propose, here's the language we use and the reasons, and here's what Trump actually signs, and see if it's close or not. Okay, that it won't be any mystery. We put our version out 6 months ago. When Trump signs that executive order concerning how the elections are going to be conducted, it's going to be the most important thing he ever does in all of his life, not just his public life. Nothing that he will ever do or has ever done will be more important than the executive order changing the way that we do the elections. It'll be one-day vote, hand count, paper ballot, counted where cast. With clean voter rolls, you're going to have to re-register to vote. No existing voter rolls used. Everybody has to show up with government-issued ID, verify the address where they live so that they know what district they're going to be voting from, and then precincts of 1,500 or less nationwide. California, Hawaii with their mail-in votes, Alaska, ain't going to matter. You're not going to get a mail-in vote. No, none, zero. Not one machine anywhere. This has been a conflict even within Trump's team in the White House, trying to lobby for some machines for certain purposes. Not one machine inviolate, not starting. It's a he told people, you're opportunists for trying to push the machines on us. We're not doing machines. They've been proven that we can't trust them. Tulsi's also very aware of that. In what she said, you have to remember the context of the time. That's 6 months ago. And they were moving towards this, but haven't wanted to convey everything about their intended moves with where they're going. Trump's going to, elections are core to everything for this term of this administration. And this executive order, when he issues it, in the framework, in the context of a national emergency concerning elections. Even Venezuela is in the context of the national election emergency because the people that we have in custody who were stealing the elections electronically in coordination with the false paper ballots printed in China
All right.
worked from Venezuela.
So help me with this. Help me with this. Why did Tulsi Gabbard lie? Why have we heard that lie, by the way, parroted over and over and over again? We already know that if you tell a lie 5 times, 10 times, people will believe it. We have the left walking around believing misinformation, disinformation. They parrot over and over and over again. Juan, why is she lying? She's openly lying. She's creating a narrative that separates the machines, mail-in ballots, and the people in our own country and saying, well, it's hackers and people from another country. It's not true, Juan. It's people right here.
Hold on. Maybe I'm not understanding something. I want to make sure that I do understand it. You're saying she's lying because she hasn't acknowledged the domestic side of the fraud.
Yeah.
In other words, she's lying by a half truth. Isn't that maybe
a half truth is a lie?
Okay, it's true that we had the foreign hacking, but that she hasn't acknowledged the domestic side thus far is a lie. Is that what you're saying?
It's not. It's how she says it. I mean, if you
okay,
and to me, what you say is really, really important. It's really important. How you say it is what you do in order to create the concrete that becomes a thing you walk on. And if you look at what Tulsi Gabbard is saying, she is staying as far away from. She should come right out. They should come out and say, I mean, President Trump is really the only one that is out there inside of his cabinet that are telling the absolute truth.
Okay, let me help you on a couple of things. Everybody around Trump knows that you don't upstage Trump, and they are very sensitive to that. He wants to own certain themes, and he doesn't want them to have to take the heat on certain things. So let's just reverse this for a second. In Tulsi's defense, because I know you're not anti-Tulsi. You're just pissed.
I'm not.
We're not getting it.
I love that woman. I think she's awesome. Right.
Okay. So within that context, and we can disagree with people and still be friends or still like them and still be vehement. You can't do what you're doing. You can't say what you're doing. So, that the angst with Tulsi is the angst of fellow warriors, right? Trying to work towards it. So let me just add this though. Tulsi cannot get ahead of where we're at within the narrative. She would get eviscerated. Have we thus far proven in a court of law or got anybody that's actually, at some crucial moment within the testimony somehow that has proven the vote fraud? Well, we would say yes on the Tina stuff and all that, yet it still hasn't been adjudicated correctly for us. So what Tina
got sleeper cells, Juan.
Well, but no, I'm saying it different here. Tulsi doesn't have the latitude, legally or morally, to go places that she believes are a certain way. She has to constrain herself to what we know or don't know, because she's in a position of authority where what she says has weight. It has implications out to the public and like that. So she's had to choke it back a bit for the moment we're in. I think it's easy that, yes, we're coming to a moment where a lot of these things are going to be fully accepted. You and I have the ability within our opinion to make these statements, but from her official position, I don't think she has solid ground. It would be reckless. Remember, she still has to answer to Congress. She has to show up at Congress periodically and give an accounting of where we're at in things she's doing in her office. So if she was to say that we have proof that the elections are frauded internally, besides the external, which we do have proof here. Now we have the guys testifying before grand juries right this minute. Okay, not just one, by the way, multiple grand juries. One in particular is going to be a really bad hair day for somebody in Colorado, and it won't be that far out. But the reason I say that is that, if she was to make a statement and be a little bit too generous on it, when she gets grilled in Congress, what are you basing that on? Give me the exact proof. Has that been adjudicated by a court? Do we have anything to prove what that person said, or what you're seeing is actually the full end of the whole story? And if you don't have that, you said it. Now Congress is coming after you like you lied because you said something you can't back up.
Right.
Exactly what you're saying in reverse. So she has to be very choked back exactly what she's saying and the way she's saying it. And she can imply that we're looking at things further, including domestically, but she can't get ahead of the game, ahead of the narrative, casually, recklessly, because she would literally put her job, her role for the country on the line by what she would do. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. I don't. One, I learned a long time ago to always come through the front door, never go through the side door or the back door, because you lose the respect of the people around you very, very quickly. And so maybe I just look at it differently in that, I understand that there's showmanship that has to occur, and that to a certain degree, you want to make sure you can play hide the weenie just a little bit longer. And
well, I don't think this is showmanship, though. See, she has to legally be able to go before Congress with these regular updates, and they can call her anytime they want. We want to understand this. She does not have the legal license from her position to say something as though it's a fact, which they have not conclusively already, got some guy, because Congress addresses things in a certain way. So what they're doing is for example, President Trump had the legal latitude to tell his cabinet when they came into office where we're going. Because remember, Tulsi, in what she said there, she said something very interesting. She said, Mr. President, it's just like you said. We are going to have to go to a hand count paper ballot. We now have proof of a stolen election regarding 2020. So she went as far as she possibly could, and I guarantee you her legal staff advised her on every word she said, what she could say precisely, and where she had to stop. But what she told you in that statement was what Trump had already said. It's just like you said, Mr. President. He'd already told him, I'm going to a hand count paper ballot. She gave him, it's just like you said. Trump has already told them how he is going after this rigged election. He can say that. He can have that opinion. There's nothing Congress can do to call him on the carpet. Tulsi, on the other hand, is an appointee that Congress had to approve to be there. If she says one thing that she can't back up at that exact time, she's in a world of hurt, and her position is under fire. So she's not going further, even though she may have some stuff. She's not going further than what the evidence allows at this point in time. She'll go the rest of the way when the time comes. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, it makes perfect sense. Again, I don't think it's
it's painful, but it's perfect.
Well, I mean, one the other side of this is that I've now studied the elections going back to 2016, 2018, 2020. I've studied several municipal elections, both in Colorado and outside of Colorado, and there's a pattern that they steal elections that they want to steal. It doesn't matter what the election is, and they've been stealing them after 2020, 2022, 2024. 2025 municipal elections that they had this year, the Republicans have only won 2 races. We lost the race in Florida. Well, they decided that only 36,000 people voted out of 498,000. Right? I mean, come on.
It's worse than that. Okay. Let me interrupt you for a second. Okay, let me help you out. Okay, so the crew around Polis, this crew that's captured control, Colorado, like Utah next door. This pirate crew came in and hijacked the helm of the ship of state of
Right.
Colorado. Okay. And so these are pirates. They've come in and they've captured control of the state. They've got their false votes and they're building out their ranks with their pirate crew boarding the ship and taking control of different things. Let me ask you this, and it's a leading question, but I'll answer it in a moment. You don't have to answer it even, but um, is there a reason, an overriding bigger reason why this exact crew wanted this exact ship? And what have they done since they got there? And I'll
Destroyed it.
answer it for you.
Okay.
It's all about the money. What money? What money? Well, what do states do? They do, these people in government, well, they want to build stuff. They got the latest project. They want to take over this program. They want to get federal matching money. They want to get federal money for this project and that project and all sorts of things. They want to issue bond issues. Look at what just happened down the street in Illinois the other day. A judge decided that the property tax system in Illinois was illegal. All the property taxes that the people are paying are being paid under an illegal premise. Okay. And where do the property taxes come from? What creates property taxes? Primarily bond issues,
Right.
obligation bonds. They want to build a new school. They want to build a new stadium. They want to improve the roads, water district, all sorts of things. They got a bond issue every community, and where is it at? It's on the ballot.
Well, they stole those elections. They did the same thing. Yeah.
Election fraud isn't just for offices; it's also for ballot measures.
Well, that's how they raise the taxes. Well, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Is that
Well, hold on a second. Let me finish this.
Okay,
Let me
go
finish this. I apologize, Joe. I'm fighting for control. But let me just throw this out to your listeners. When Polis came into office, and hint, we're coming. Can you hear the hoofbeats? We're coming. We're on the other side of the hill. We're about to crest the hill. Okay. That roar is an F-15 that you can hear in the distance. Okay. When Polis came into office, what bonds came in with him back in 2007, 8, other positions he held? Where were these things going? And then by the time he got all the way up to the governor, what crew was he working with to try and get some money? Big money, big money. Okay. Next door in Utah, it was because the Olympics were coming. The Olympics are coming. The Olympics are coming. We need to do all these bond issues. And then a bunch of hometown crew are going to make a fortune with these bonds to build out stadiums and housing and, all sorts of stuff. Besides international agreements and inland ports and all sorts of things. Colorado's in the same boat. And we know. In fact, I've had people on it all weekend that have been looking at other states, and now we started our focus on Colorado. We know the players involved. And by the way, oh my gosh, I'll just say this one little word. The people that know will be quaking in their boots if they're smart. Flat rail.
Yeah, I mean, look.
We're aware. We're aware. Oh yeah.
I don't know if you noticed that I did this, but I put up a post that basically I've done it every day. I've talked about Jenna Griswold, you're going to prison. Polish, you're going to prison. Weasel Weiser, you're going to prison. I mean, look, Juan, I've done an immense amount of research.
I know that. You and I've followed your stuff, Joe. That's why I'm on the show with you because of all. Let me just say this because you're close to everything going on there. There's hosts that want to cover stuff from other places, but they just don't have the local knowledge. And so, of the hosts that rally from Colorado, who's in the same zip code as you are, I don't know if there is anybody else. I mean, the only one that I hear that gets it truly for the most part, and is getting a large audience
people,
is you. Well, but I mean, but I'm telling you, I'm giving you a hat tip. I don't know anybody else that's been on point with this stuff like you have. And yes, let me just add this: that there's a bit of a vitriolic cadence. Well, if Trump was soft spoken, if he was like Speaker Johnson, can we all just get along here and we got to fight hard, really, really we do. We got to come together. Would he have gotten anywhere?
No.
It's the New York piss and grit. That vinegar that you don't like is exactly why Trump is where he's at today. If it wasn't for that kind of attitude to take on the media, to take on these falsehoods and these people pronouncing them, Trump would be as worthless as the rest of them. It's that grit and that demeanor that's the reason we even have a prayer. So if you're a bit vitriolic, if you're a bit harsh, and excuse me, you need to have a squishier handshake, Joe, please. Okay,
Yeah.
gosh, you're just so abrasive, please.
It's the thing about me is that I was a very diplomatic person. I was a very, I learned to be to use my decorum, to have conversations with people and get things done. And then in 2020, that all changed for me. Juan, it changed for me because they took from me what was never theirs to take, and they took it from a lot of people. They took it from Tina specifically. And so then I went into warrior mode. I went into the mode of, I've never seen a fight I didn't like. And it's a part of me that I wish that I could have put back to sleep some days, because it makes me, frankly, it makes me incredibly unpredictable. It's probably a good word to put. I almost used another word that probably would have been really bad. It makes me unpredictable.
My wife gave me a heart. So anyway, go ahead.
I love that tie. Love that. Yeah, I love that.
No.
Yeah, so it makes me unpredictable, but what it also makes me is committed, right? And the more we get down the path with Tina, the more upset I become, because there's a justification. And by the way, this justification is not just on the left. The justification is on the left and on people that say that they support us, like the Mike Johnsons, like the Jim Jordans, like I'm going to go down the line, Lindsey Graham. And then sometimes I see President Trump re-endorse those people, and it scares the hell out of me. Because then I'm like, I know he knows. I know he knows. And getting Tina out, that she's being abused.
Well, let me just add this, Joe. The work that you and I have done, even over the last month, when they didn't get Tina out, and we'd played nice all the way up to her birthday, and okay, we're working it. We understand there's this difficulty, there's that Justice Department, and then they completely abandoned. It just was. There's no prayer. You couldn't wait another day. Her health is failing. We went to a different gear, okay, and as was appropriate. No more patty cakes. I'm done with that. It should never have been allowed to get to this point in the first place. It just had to go to another level. And so, I've done 45 shows in the last month. Just about Tina. I pushed everything else off to the side. I don't want to talk, there's financial, there's war, there's Venezuela, there's Japan, Mideast Asia, all sorts of things in other states. As far as I'm concerned, all of it, the pivot point for all of these things is Tina. And by the way, let me just add this one thing. And I know Tina knows this. And so she doesn't want the wrong thing just to get something. She's come this far. We got to complete the course we're on. In this 5G chess that we're in, just imagine a chessboard where there's 5 boards stacked above each other and below. And the top board and the bottom board are veiled. You can't see the players on them. Yet both chess masters can pop people in and out from their board that's veiled. So Trump has a veiled board. His opponent can't see it, and neither can the rest of us. Our opponents have a veiled board, and we can't see their players, but they can pop in out of nowhere, pop out to nowhere. disappear and seemingly be gone and pop back up. For the whole world, you're only seeing the three main boards. Well, that's complex enough, let alone they got boards where somebody can pop in and out and you didn't even know they existed. In chess is a game of attrition. So it has a limited number of moves. It's not like other stuff where it continues to expand and divide. As players come off the board, there's fewer potential moves. As players come off the board because you're taking out players. That's the whole point of chess. It's a game of attrition. And so you sacrifice players to gain position. But Tina's not a sacrifice. Let me tell you what's going on with Tina. In chess, as you move across the board, if you're a pawn, and remember, the whole game starts with pawns moving across the board. Most of the first initial moves are pawns moving out of the way for pieces behind them. And they get across the board and they get taken. They're sacrificed because it forces the other team to make a move to defend themselves or to move forward aggressively, and they take out pawns in the game. But one interesting thing about a pawn is if the pawn makes it all the way to the other side of the board,
it's kinged.
It becomes a queen. With all the power and latitude of movement of the queen, the most powerful piece on the table. You have two rooks, you have two knights, you have two bishops, you got one queen. And it's all there to protect the king. In this particular case, if Tina makes it all the way to the other side of the board, which she is going to, she will be the most powerful piece, as powerful as any other piece on the board and more. As the existing queen, she will have all of that power. And now your leverage on the game increases exponentially. Tina's going to be able to talk not only about election fraud and how to correct it moving forward, she's also going to be able to talk about what has to be done in the prosecution. She's not just going to testify at trials with judges. She's going to be testifying at Gitmo and similar facilities. There's three of them in tribunal settings against Americans involved in election crimes against America. Think about that. This is going to a whole nother level. And by the way, even going to your conversation with me here just a minute ago, those people that participated in frauding the election domestically are in fact conspiring with foreign actors. So at a technical level, they are a foreign agent. And it is foreign interference, even if they're domestic and they're here in the country, they've already realigned themselves with foreign agents. And by the way, for people that say, well, I just moved a thumb drive and I knew there was stuff on there, but I did that because I was in on it, but I just moved a thumb drive. I didn't really change anything. I put the cardboard on the windows. Okay. Excuse me. If you're just a getaway driver in a bank robbery, hello, you can also be charged with everything that the guys in the bank did. If there's a murder, if there's a gunshot, you get charged with everything because you're an accessory to that crime.
Correct.
Okay. And they might mitigate some of the sentencing and like that, but they don't have to. And so you're involved in a crime to steal the election. There's a lot of people that thought their activity and actions were nobody's ever going to know. But when they do know, sorry, you were the getaway driver. I didn't know they were robbing the bank. Oh, you when they left with guns in their, well, it's a dangerous neighborhood. And when they came back with the bags of money and you pushed on the gas to get out of there, did you ask any questions? What's the bags of money here? Yeah, come on, man. Give me a break. These people are gonna suffer greatly. And they're gonna be looking, how much are you gonna feel heartfelt? I'm so sad. Poor Jenna. Gosh, she's had a really bad hair day. I feel so bad about Jenna. Right. She feel bad about Tina? Do any of these feel bad about Tina? How's it going to be when Governor Polis's $30 million is now Tina's $30 million? You think that's not going to happen? Tina has a suit against him because here's the thing. This is what I wanted to say to your audience today. There's 1,000 places that we could go to.
Yeah.
We've had papers, stuff that has been, out there presented to the warden and to the Department of Corrections director and like that, putting them on notice that their acts concerning Tina are essentially a violation of law and her civil rights. And
so I have that letter.
Yeah, well, that's the proposed one that is for publication. Let's get there in just a moment. But there's a letter now from John, her local Colorado attorney, that went to, he's written 2 letters now to Department of Corrections and to the warden, CCing Governor Polis, saying that they're violating Tina's civil rights. By implication, Tina can sue everybody involved, every single last one of them, including the prison guards. See, if the prison guards do something unlawful, unconstitutional, they violate somebody's civil rights, they personally can be sued. And the department, the union might back them up or whatever, but then again, they might not. And if their violation is egregious enough, the government can't represent them. They violate. They were outside their contract, their employment agreement. So the danger for all of the guards and people involved in the prison system in Colorado is, especially with publication, they're on notice that they personally are going to get the opportunity to be sued by Tina. It's a notice by publication of a potential violation. Okay, it's called an NOPV, notice of potential violation. So they'll be on notice that they personally can be sued. Their personal property, their personal future pay can be levied when Tina wins. And the government can't protect them. And if the government does want to protect them or says they will, okay, better get a letter. Remember that scene from Clear and Present Danger where Harrison Ford's confronting the guy in the White House about his actions, kind of an Ollie North type of a thing. And the guy says, I have a letter. The president signed this letter. So I was doing it under his direction, his authority. Do you have a letter for the things you did down in Colombia? And if you don't have a letter, then you might be going to jail. Okay. Do these Department of Corrections people have a letter? I would say they need it from their union and they need it from the governor. But I wouldn't, every person there, if I was a prison guard, if I was an administrator, anywhere, including the director of the prisons, I would get an independent, not a government attorney. I'd hire my own attorney for an hour. Here's my situation. Should I get a letter and ask for the union to guarantee that they're going to cover your expenses for legal counsel, not the guy that just got out of law school last week and it's his first case, not the government attorney who, may or may not know where his ass is, but real counsel that costs real money to defend you for your actions while you had Tina in your custody and she was incarcerated and you had her protection, control, couldn't let her out when the president issued a pardon. Because see, that clock already started ticking. The second that the pardon was signed by Trump, anybody that obstructed the pardon being enforced is now actively holding Tina in violation of her civil rights and a federal pardon, the presidential pardon. Just because Polis says he has the authority to tell his prison guards to do this, and just because the warden says they have that authority, by the way, no court case has ever examined this issue. It's never happened. And the presumption is that the president's stuff is right. And that's where the law starts. So you're going to have to prove that the president was wrong. This is an inversion of that thing with the 6 Democrats that came out, the Gang of Six, saying that you don't have to obey an illegal order. Okay, let's go the opposite way. All of those prison guards don't have to obey an illegal order. Is the order by Governor Polis, is the order by the warden legal that you continue to detain Tina Peters? You've picked a side. You better get a letter saying that if it turns out you were wrong and that they told you something that wasn't true, that they're going to cover your legal expenses and any damages. Because your house, your car, your classic might be on the line. Tina knows I love classic cars, so she might get some classic cars from a few of you guys, trucks and 4-wheel drives, and I'll buy them at auction.
I love classic cars.
Yeah. So, but again, the people need to think in these kinds of terms. If you're in the prison system, you're in a very precarious situation, and you're going to be notified, publicly notified. That's a skeletal copy that's going to be refined all day today and tomorrow. We're going to publish that.
Can we put up the letter? So let's, if we can, put up the letter from John Case to the warden.
Well, proposed. Put up John Case letter first. Yeah.
This is the proposed letter from. Well, this is the one that you put out there. So I took it directly off.
Well, it's not from John. This is a proposed letter for the Ticton team and John Case. This is what my team put together, and I'm offering it to the audience, just like we put out the executive order, proposed version of the executive order. So now, there may be people in your audience.
This is the one that you put out on your X account.
Well, we haven't put it out yet. You're the first person to see it outside of my legal advisors. Okay. So we put this.
Can't be the right one then, because this one I took right off of your deal.
Oh no, that's John Case's one. I think right there.
Let's read John Case's first, and then we'll read the other one.
Okay,
and then we'll read the other one that you actually sent to us. Yes.
Okay.
Well, let me read this. Dear Warden Stansel, on December 5th, 2025, President Donald J. Trump issued a full and unconditional pardon to my client Tina M. Peters at approximately 5:55 p.m. on December 12th, 2025. I personally served a copy of the presidential pardon on armed DOC staff at the La Vista Correctional Facility and requested they release Miss Peters. Instead of releasing Miss Peters, as required by federal law, DOC personnel stated that they would not comply with President Trump's pardon. Their refusal is categorically unlawful. A presidential pardon is self-executing and immediately terminates all legal authority for continued custody. Your refusal to release Mrs. Peters is not a clerical delay. It is a willful deprivation of liberty under the color of law in direct violation of 18 U.S.C. 242. If more than one DOC employee acts in concert to block her release, it further constitutes a conspiracy to deprive rights under 18 U.S.C. 241. I expect Ms. Peters to be released immediately. If she is not, her attorneys will pursue all available civil and criminal remedies against every state officer and official who knowingly participated in obstructing the enforcement of a presidential pardon. Please provide written confirmation without delay, identifying the precise time Ms. Peters will be released in order to create a plan to safely receive her.
And by the way, John's doing tremendous work. You know, he got kind of sent on a mission the other day to the prison doors because things have to be formalized. There has to be a formal, direct request in order to further tighten the noose, if you will, that it's not just something from the governor's office or the attorney general's office. Those people at the gate put themselves on the line, in the fight, on a side, and I'm just following orders. I was told, okay, were the orders lawful? Okay, how did you check that? That's where, by the way, when you're talking to your attorneys, guys, for the prison employees, when you're talking to the attorneys, mention the Merrill versus crop insurance case. Merrill, Merrill, I think. But Merrill versus crop insurance, the judge, the Supreme Court decided that I take it back. It may have been the 10th Circuit right there in your area. But anyway, the court decided that no person engaging in any kind of business or contract with a federal government employee or agent, in other words, contractor, uh, uh, should take what they say at face value. That it's up to the person taking action, the person who has something in peril. In other words, the prison guards and
Yes.
administrative people. It's up to them to determine if what the government employee, agent, officer, etc., if what they have said is the law that they can do or should do, or any promises they make. It's up to the person who is engaging with them in any form of business or contract to determine if they have the authority to do what they say they're going to do. So the way you determine that is, I want a letter. I want a letter from the warden at the prison
Correct.
indemnifying me that they're going to protect me because they're totally lawful and why it's lawful. Not just that they will do it, but on what legal basis are they citing as their authority to do anything which they purport to do? And then second of all, I would also ask that from the Department of Corrections lead, Stencil, who's named here, and then beyond that, I would also ask for the same thing from the governor. I wouldn't trust that any one of them has the authority to do what they've said to do. And if they don't and you accept it, then you accept the consequences. That's the whole point of crop insurance, Merrill versus crop insurance, is that anybody entering into the contract, they're, the consequences, they're taking it on with full knowledge that they've made a decision that they're going to trust that the government employee, agent, officer, etc., has the authority to say that, to do what they purport, you should do. And if they don't, it's on you. Too bad. So you better get a letter. You better and I'd get it in writing. I wouldn't take it. See, right now, all those people have is somebody's word. They've all been just told, yeah, no, we're fine. Or they got a letter. Okay, so the letter just says he has the authority. Doesn't mean that they're going to indemnify you. Your name on the letter. I want a letter to me personally with my name on it that you're going to protect me, provide legal counsel, and pay any damages that may arise from being in anywhere touching Tina Peters. And then the other thing is that the next step for the legal team is not just John Case, but Peter Tickton as the lead counsel. They will at some point want the logs of everybody working in the prison and what they were doing and where they were at concerning Tina, including the teacher that made all the bullshit statements about her that led to a lot of the recent trauma. But we'll get logs, and then every one of them should understand that they're personally, potentially in violation and liable personally, not just the state. And then every taxpayer in Colorado needs to think about this. If the governor says he's going to indemnify all of the employees against any kind of a legal claim from Tina for anything they've done, that's going to be on the Colorado taxpayers. They're going to have to pay that. Tina's not just going to buy a G6. She's going to buy a whole airline with her winnings. Okay? Because she's going to win. The trial should never have taken place. That's why the judge 41 times blocked actions to show that she was doing what she was doing under federal authority, never let it be part of the trial, never let the jury hear it. Got a conviction through his obstruction of justice.
what's the outcome for people like Matthew Barrett? What's the Judge Matthew Barrett? What's the outcome for people like Dan Rubenstein, who lied and obstructed and covered up the crimes? What's the outcome for the investigator that called Matt, personally called up Matt, who's the head of the County Clerks and Recorders Association, and they worked together, they conspired together to hide the improprieties? What's the penalty for them?
Well, I think, I don't want to get ahead of what may happen in court, but, those people operated under color of authority, and everybody involved thought they were on the right side of stuff. And yet, then again, did they? No, they were colluding. See, here's part of it that's not even in the public side completely yet. Remember, you had Tor Mars, and she was recording a lot of these conversations taking place behind the scenes between various of the players, the judge, the Secretary of State, other things, their text communications and all that. I believe that's all going to come out, and when it does, if they were colluding in the way that it appears, I think eventually that's going to be determined to have been criminal collusion in order to deprive. They may not be getting out of this with just a fine or a loss of position. They may very well be in the very position that Tina's in because of what they did. So we'll have to see. I mean, I don't want to, state something as a fact before we get there, but I can guarantee you, they got a rough day ahead of them somewhere in here. It's going to be pretty epic. And these will take a decade to play through. Okay. So
Juan,
I don't care. As long as he's free, I don't care if it takes a decade. Let them lose hair over this. Let them, hand wring over this. The way they did to Tina times 10. I think it's appropriate. There's some kind of karma thing that's about to happen, and for all of this audience, it may be slow in coming to this reversal as the pendulum swings back, but the reality is, it is swinging back already. Even with what President Trump's going to do with his White House Oval Office talk to the country tomorrow. And every day afterwards, you're going to be seeing things that it's going to be like, oh, finally. Well, even there, it wasn't wrong that the president has taken as long as he has, because the issues are so great. There's so much at stake that you don't have the luxury of getting one detail wrong. The whole world is on the line here, and we're adults. Even Tina's situation over the last many weeks, the calls to the White House were trending all Tina, with all the things in the world for the last month since we pressed hard on this. Your audiences and dozens of others have been calling the White House, as well as Polis and everybody else. But it was the White House, it was President Trump, even the calls to the Justice Department. The White House, President Trump did what he did unilaterally. He said, okay, carry out of the way. I'm issuing a presidential pardon. I could care less what those, advisors. President Trump, he's got Job's advisors. Remember in the Bible, Job, his friend.
Oh, yes. I'm very familiar with this story.
And they're so, here's what you do. And then his own wife, okay? Job's wife tells him, you should curse God and die. It's that bad, okay? Oh, my gosh. Talk about advisors, right? So President Trump has horrible advisors. I've said this, horrible. Trump has actually turned to his attorneys in the Oval Office and said to other people, you're the worst attorneys. Do you see what I got for attorneys? This is the advice they give me. He's literally criticized in front of other people because they give him such lousy advice. So Trump says, okay, I've done listening to you guys. Presidential pardon, write it up. Here's what I wanted to say. Get it done. I want it in a few hours. And he got it done. He didn't even listen to anybody else. So we're here because Trump, done. But it's also because he's on a timeline, and he knows that Tina couldn't quite make it to the finish line without a little bit of support. And so he's not deviating from the main timeline, which is on a schedule regarding the national emergency regarding elections and the date he wants to put that executive order out. That's kind of written in stone. And so he's adjusting stuff with sending in, doing the federal inquiry about the conditions in the prison, calling attention to Tina, multiple times talking about Tina now over the last couple of weeks. And but even as important as getting Tina out is, he couldn't blow the larger game or get out of step on the timing, and that's tough to say or hear, but it's just the way it is.
So I know I can see the comments from everybody else, and the thing that they're saying right now is that all of that is great. All that's terrific. You got thousands of people that are involved in this fraud. Thousands.
You know what? Let me just add one little thing. Yeah. Isn't it amazing? They spent during Trump's first term tens and tens of millions of dollars building special port facilities at Gitmo, where they can take every single FEMA ship. Remember, within this crowd, a lot of you remember these FEMA ships. We're all going to be put in prison in FEMA ships. They're going to come for all of us, patriots, and blah, blah, blah. In fact, by the way, yesterday and the day before, I was with Roseanne Barr, and she's doing a 6-part special. She just started filming yesterday, and it's all about the patriots and having to build underground tunnels, and they're all coming for us. It's a great comedy. Randy Quaid is her boyfriend.
Randy Quaid.
Dennis Quaid, who played Reagan. Randy Quaid is Roseanne's boyfriend in this 6-part series TV show, and she just started filming on that, and it's going to be epic, hysterical. She's such a great friend, but because we're going to make fun of these guys with a lot of what we had to go through, but part of this whole thing is that all the FEMA ships that were built supposedly to help in emergencies, there was the contention and the guillotines and everything else. Are we going to be put on those ships? You know what? In Trump's first term, he had the port facilities around Gitmo built up with concrete piering, sunk deep in water, so that they can't just survive with the FEMA ships parked at them, a Cat 5. They can survive a Cat 6. They literally sink the boats in place. And they can hold about 25,000 prisoners in there. And each of the ones is kind of specially built for the specific FEMA ships. So if you say thousands, we got a lot of room. We can house 25,000 beyond the main base, and we can still build out a lot of room at the base. So there'll be plenty of room for all of those people that wanted to participate. And there'll be different levels of problems for people that have participated. On the whole, it's going to be tough. There's a lot of people that they don't think we have the documentation of what they did, when they did it, where they were at, whatever. Truckloads.
President Trump said there were truckloads. And my fear is that, and it's not a fear, it's a recognition of things that we've had to deal with before, is that we keep constantly talking about what we have.
But there was a time, I know that. Look, Joe,
I know what I have. I know that what I have is enough.
Yeah, those complaints are not invalid, and I don't want to diminish in any way, shape, or form the audience here who is screaming for justice. The justice is slow in getting here at times. That's painfully true. But even if Tina could take it as long as she had to finally be at this point and do the turn.
Yes.
See, that's why I even mentioned the chess thing. All of your audience who've endured, who persevered, who've stuck with this in their own lane, Tina's emblematic of a broader movement. That's why I've said, President Trump, you have to save Tina because she's emblematic of the rest of the constituency here. Everybody else, to some degree or another, feels similarly um, uh, an offense against justice for themselves personally, and they haven't been vindicated. They told the truth. The elections are frauded. They knew it. They worked to get honest elections. They did all sorts of things, and nothing, or inadequate, or the courts, whatever, didn't go through with the cases. But don't let the last period of time taint you against what's about to happen. When President Trump issues the national emergency regarding elections, and then issues the executive order, and then begins, see, even within the national emergency, one of the key components in doing it as a national emergency is that because the courts are also compromised, appointees in the courts, judges, etc., were put there by people who themselves were not in office legitimately. Okay, so there is a different levels of this offense. As President Trump comes in under a national emergency regarding elections, now he can go out, including with arrests related to this national emergency, suspensions of authority. One of the things that was said just a few months ago, we had a situation where Justice Department was critically in this particular situation. And the word came back from the White House. Don't expect justice from the Justice Department, and don't expect the assistance to come from the Justice Department. And in fact, it didn't. It was another agency that I don't want to say here. And everything pivoted to a whole different way of pursuing justice in this matter. And the people involved, aces, I would not have anticipated it until it happened. It's like, oh my gosh. So it's the same thing here with getting to justice in the elections. Maybe we're not supposed to be looking for justice at the Justice Department and the judges. We are going to see it at Gitmo. And it's not just for Russia stuff. It's the 2020. And as Trump has said, I got a song. 2020, it's not over yet.
Yeah, no, it is not over. But I need to tell you this too. About 45 minutes ago, I got a text message, and it says, "Joe, you were waiting for arrest. Guess what? Look at what's going to happen tomorrow." That was 45 minutes ago. That was 10 minutes
like
before
I said,
President Trump.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Somebody's going to have a really bad hair day. Oh.
Yeah, so there's arrests. I think tomorrow is going to be on the heels of something about to happen at the same time that's happening. I do know that is happening.
Context. That tomorrow is when he's going to do his national address.
Yeah, but you think the national address will address the fact that people are getting arrested?
Well, don't expect the big arrest tomorrow. Again, there's a process here, and it literally happens in waves. So, we want the diners to have a chance to assemble. So we'll knock this down, then we'll knock that. They make a move, we make a move. It's a chess game, but we're in the winning position. They're going to be losing critical players all the way to the end here, from this point forward, is my opinion. I know.
So we still have a problem, Juan. We have a problem. Her name is Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche. I mean, those are two very serious problems that we have because they run the DOJ.
Again, I just told you, though, don't expect the resolution to come from the Justice Department. We were told that quite some time back.
Okay, let's say it comes from the military.
Well, it may or may not involve the military first round. But what it does do, there's something else going on that you're not aware of, and I can't say. But it is a process.
I wonder if I know about it. I want, wink twice if same thing.
Well, I mean, I when I Went out and did. I had to meet with some of the people out in D.C. I don't know, probably 2 months ago, I guess, on something, and I was pretty surprised we were getting their traction in that location, but it was excellent, and it allows for certain operations into Justice Department function, which the rest of the principals over Justice Department have no control over. So just watch, just watch. I'm personally pretty comfortable that we're in the right place, including with Tina's situation, because as hard as it's been to get to this exact moment with Tina, instead of still remaining as a pawn in the game, she is going to complete crossing the chessboard all of this drama over the last, even months, where we've just taken it to a whole nother level, Joe, has forced the situation. National media that didn't want to pay attention to Tina is going to have to pay attention to Tina. They're going to have to acknowledge her, and she will have a role in what's coming. We're going to get her back to full health. She's still got piss and vinegar. She was really fading.
I
and
talked
then
to her
they
last night.
Okay, well, they threw her back into solitary, and that really
Kinda.
pissed her off. Well, yeah,
Kind of. Now she's actually the Al Capone of the Department of Corrections. She's got her own pod.
but she got her own microwave now.
Yeah, she's got it all.
I'm waiting for her to get her own cook.
She walks down the hallway. She's got like Guidos on either side, one in the front, one in the back. That they're all carrying like battle rattle. I mean, she right now she runs the place.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is, of course, all those inmates that were being mean to her, that taken aside, now it's like, yeah, that one there, she was really mean to me. Yeah, give her a mean, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but it appears to me that things are moving in a direction that is good.
Well, let me just say this one thing. I apologize, Joe. Let me just say this one thing.
Yeah.
Go back a few days when she was thrown back into solitary the other day. Right up to that moment where she was put back into solitary, she was fading a lot. Nothing's happening. It's not. I'm just. They're just going to leave me here. Nobody's coming for me. They're going to just wait until I'm dead. And when she got thrown in solitary, her reaction was actually important. She got pissed.
Yeah.
And when you get pissed, sometimes you get that extra thing. In the emergency room, doctors will tell you that they can have a patient come in and all of a sudden they're close to death and they will fight and they will suddenly get strength that nobody knew they could possibly even have in that fight for life in the last seconds. And sometimes that's necessary to break even your own mental chains, if you will. When she got that extra layer of piss and combined with knowing in the next hours just how much we were doing outside and pressing hard, and it wasn't just one person. When she comes out alive and then goes and gets healed and comes back, there is not one person that can claim that they got Tina out. Okay, we have a whole bunch of hosts and everybody like to be able to, strut around. I got Tina free. Even the president doesn't get to it. This has been a community effort. This is all of us that came together. There's no one single group or person that gets to claim credit for freeing Tina. She's going to get free, and she's going to be in a very powerful position because of this community, and it's helped us also to rally together. We're going to get through this issue, and then there's others to come beyond it. But this is such a core issue. At the Battle of the Bulge in World War II, they had to grab groups from all over the front and move them, put them under Patton's authority, 3rd and 4th Army, and race up to where the Germans were moving with this new front. If the Germans had succeeded in reaching the ports in Belgium and cutting off the supplies and dividing the British and American troops, they could have extended the war bare ass minimum 3 months and more likely 6 months. And by the time they extended it that 6 months, all of the wonder weapons would be online, and their ability to wage war would have gone up orders and orders of magnitude. So with everything, nuclear, intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarine warfare tactics, machines, etc., they were that close to winning the war, and nobody realized it because all they had to do was get to the port in Belgium or even close to it and choke off supplies and divide the American and British troops. And they'd have bought the time needed to win the overall war, because then the other weapons come in. Look at the situation here right now with the vote fraud stuff. They're hoping to delay, and it's why they have to hold Tina to destroy her spirit. They're hoping to just buy enough time that Trump's a lame duck. Nothing's been done. It's all over with. 2026 is held the same way all the elections have been being held, and it's a done deal. They win by default because we took too long to get there. That's why I tell this audience, take a deep breath. Don't give the devil his due at all. Don't give these pundits their moment by speaking that we're not going to get there in time for 2026. Watch what happens in the next days and weeks. Trump is going to issue an executive order concerning how the elections are run. Before he does that, he must have the context of a national emergency. And that national emergency regarding elections, just like we had regarding COVID, gives him the legal basis to go in and say all the existing voter rolls with all these false people on the voter rolls, etc., out. You have to come in, sign up to vote. You're going to do it on a voter registration card. Every clerk at every county in America is also a notary. So they can notarize that. You're going to sign under penalty of perjury that you live where you say you live, that it's inside such and so district, and that you're an American citizen with the right to vote under penalty of perjury, and it's going to be notarized. You're going to have to do it with government issued ID, clean voter rolls. And a lot of people are going to scream bloody murder. The Democrats are going to absolutely go insane. They're going to scream down the street. Why? Because they can't win an honest election. All those groups, the Soros groups, and else, and not one machine anywhere in sight. Not one. And when the vote is counted, it's going to be counted by hand by American citizens. Hand count, paper ballot, counted where cast. No transporting them in the trunk of a police car. Oh, it's safe. No magic acts. Grandma with her knitting basket showing up in Nevada at the Central Vote Counting Center and then put paper over the windows, having to watch from a distance. They're going to be counted in the precincts where they were cast by American citizens, and they're going to report it right there. Tabulation, reporting right there from that precinct, all around the counties, all around the country. They're not going to be able to steal this vote. And that's what Trump's going to order has to happen with this executive order. So national security directive concerning elections, just like he did with COVID. And then specifically the executive order, how are the elections going to be conducted? And the first checkpoint is clean voter rolls, starting from scratch. No more false citizens, no more voting 3 times. Voter registration card that you have to sign, it's notarized. And if any piece of information isn't true and accurate on there, you're going to jail. Harsh penalties. We're going to get an honest election. No mail-in ballots. Hawaii, no mail-in ballots. 19,000 ballots by mail, but there's no envelope, never went through the postal system. We have imaging of all the photos or all the mail that goes through the postal system. Go show us where it went through the mail on that date or any other date. Didn't happen. So how do you get mail-in ballots showing up in the Hawaii count that didn't go through the postal system? It's an impossibility. Now, 19,000 of them just in Hawaii County, let alone all of California. Trump talked about it yesterday, 39 million votes. Do you know that Newsom lost the recall campaign and they frauded it in LA County? Wait till that comes out. And we got it. Truckloads.
Well, I mean, we know that Smartmatic is in LA County, and we know that the election systems in California are largely fraudulent. We could tell that by even the recall election. And that's what I mean when I say that we have fraudulent elections across the entire country and it spans decades.
Yeah.
You know, Juan, do you think
so? We're about to put that to an end decisively. The only way it can happen, you can't put an end to it in the courts. We know that. That's why what I'm telling your audience, Joe, and I'm reinforcing with you. I'm even slowing everybody down. The key, and if you don't get it, then you better everybody scream bloody murder to outer space, but you're going to get it. The national security declaration by President Trump regarding elections is the key to everything. Even the executive order concerning how the elections are run. President Trump had an executive order. It was Executive Order 107, signed on March 25th at 1:07 in the afternoon of 2025. And that 107th executive order directed all the clerks around the country and all the governors, everybody, to clean the voter rolls before the 2026 election, gave them 180 days to do so. You know what happened? Absolutely zero. Nobody cleaned anything, okay?
Right.
Nothing got cleaned. That's why your people are so pissed off, okay? And it was not done in the context of a national emergency, a declared national emergency concerning elections. What gives Trump the authority in a national emergency to bring in the military as needed? All those clerks that stubbed their nose at him, gave him the finger, we're not going to do anything concerning voter rolls. All those politicians that said, we're not going to do that. All those governors said, we're not going to do that. All those AGs said, we're not going to do that. Bullshit. All those secretaries of state said, yeah, right, Trump. Okay. When he declares a national emergency, he becomes, they don't like King. Well, they're about to see what King is. Okay. Because he can bring in the military. If they don't want to agree with it, they can take over any office related to elections that they need to. Take it over. Put anybody else in there they want. You oppose that, you're part of an insurrectionist act. Okay? See how that fares for you. You want to go to Gitmo by blocking any of that stuff? Because it'll be under a federal emergency. You won't get just charged and go into a federal court. In a state of emergency, you're going to go to a military court. See how that works for you. Watch. You don't believe me? You don't have to. Just watch. Just watch. See if I'm right or not. You can come back in 6 months and tell me I was full of shit. Okay, I'm all ready for it. See if I'm right or not. I haven't been wrong. I haven't been wrong in any of the stuff I've said so far. So watch.
Okay, so this is where I start getting into I'm a detail person, right? So I don't think you can solve a problem until you get.
No, it's good. I'm glad. That's why I'm talking to you, not somebody else, because you're knowledgeable enough that we can have an actual for real conversation. So that's why I enjoy being with you, Joe. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my issue is that I look at structures. I go, okay, let's hypothetically say it's the government. It's not the DOJ files an emergency order. We got President Trump filed for a pardon. You can see the frustration boiling.
He didn't file. He issued a pardon.
He issued a pardon. Okay. He issued a pardon. You can see the frustration from President Trump boiling over. You can see it with certain people in his administration.
Yeah. And by the way, when Trump's pissed, you should be a little bit nervous. So far, they haven't actually been bitten. So he's about to start biting. But go ahead.
So he's got a three-headed snake, right? He's got the snake that he has to deal with on the media side. He's got the snake of an election coming up, and he's going to set up these different standards. And the way Tulsi talks about it, I agree with you. There could be some room for error, but there's the problem that I have is that you must have cooperation in certain areas in order to execute on things that you want to do. So even if you put an emergency order out, because he's put out
that's
emergency
why he
orders.
called all the generals in. Don't kid yourself. He was making sure everybody knew any of this riffraff bullshit. We're not going to obey an order. He let them know. I am 45, 46, and 47. Who has the biggest gun in the room? Biden never had it. Now you're under military jurisdiction in this continuity and government operation. This challenge between NORAD and SES, which I mentioned before. This is a fight between SES, which came into existence in 78, and NORAD, which came into existence and with their rules in, the portions of existence before, but basically the 54 code. So concerning nuclear weapons and beyond, who's going to have the premier authority? They never handed over nuclear to SES. SES claims authority over nuclear. They never got it. And Trump never gave it up. They were almost there. And by the way, who's doing all these false flags? That's all SES stuff, okay? When you had 9/11, Trump said when he stood there at the buildings, before I'm done, you're going to know exactly who brought these buildings down. Okay? Including Building 7, which no airplane hit. Gosh.
Yeah,
And by the way, how long does it take to do a demolition on a 50-story building? How long does it take to do the setup? It's not like a day or a week. Months and months, design, planning, access, everything. That didn't just happen. That was in the makings for a year. Years ultimately with the planning and all that. So again, who had that plan? Who was involved? That's SES, because they believe that they have the right to help orchestrate emergencies in order to move us where we have to go, which is into global compliance. Who are they working with? Who's SES working with? Serco out of England. Soros. Where's Soros come from? He's a total creation figurehead for MI6 and MI5, British intelligence, national and international. He's a creation of them. Why? Because he got black bag money that they didn't have to go to House of Commons to get the money out of somewhere. They got it by frauding the market, just like our CIA got the drug money. So this fight is so much bigger than most people even have a starting place to understand. Trump and the people behind him. Trump said he was invited to run, and he accepted the invite. Who invited him to run?
That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know.
Trump has said he was invited to run by 200 generals. That's a matter of record. Trump was invited to run by 200 generals. That goes back. By the way, that whole operation goes all the way back to MacArthur and Eisenhower, when they realized that the Rockefeller and families and other families from around the world were conspiring with the way that the wars were being run with Korea to create a certain situation within this world body to steal authority in the various nations. And they further sealed the deal when President Kennedy was assassinated. And that's when the war was absolutely on. In fact, there was going to be what would have amounted to a coup attempt against Clinton, and the 34 officers on a plane headed for a facility in Georgia. The plane crashed inexplicably, and that was thwarted during the Clinton administration on certain authorities that he was doing unlawfully. It's taken from then till now, almost 30 years now, to reorient, re-express, and that is this operation where the generals invited Trump to run, but it's not a coup. They had to have the legal authority of the commander-in-chief to do all the other stuff that they had to do. And because this fight didn't just start yesterday, so many of the things are in play, including SES, all the stuff from Carter on. Look, they're running false flags. Las Vegas, Sandy Hook, excuse me, that's not resolved. Let's see how that works out. I'm entitled to an opinion, so I think it's not a finished matter. Alex Jones or not with their little thing. And by the way, look at this little game that was played with Fox News settling with Dominion for $500 million.
I mean, look,
Okay,
I'm
they just
currently
left hand
I'm
handing it
I'm
to Rook.
currently interviewing attorneys for a defamation case that I'm going to be pushing against everybody. So,
I
and
could
they,
I could give you some
yeah,
additional to interview. I got a couple there in Colorado
yeah, they
that
want
might
them.
be good options.
Yeah. So I mean, and I have two that have said, Joe, I don't need your money. I'm going to do this case for you because they're all going to have to pay. So,
Yeah, yeah.
I feel, a certain part of me feels some vindication for some of the stuff that's come forward, but I also have this trepidation about all the information that didn't come forward.
But again, context. We
Yeah.
did not have control of the situation adequately, and as the White House said, justice in this case isn't coming from the Justice Department.
Right.
It's a captured operation. You're not going to get to justice at the Justice Department. It has to come from another place, and it is. But beyond even that, and by the way, Justice Department is a totally captured operation from SES. I can name the players, okay, involved that are taking instruction. Remember, every time Cheney had a fake heart attack, what did he say? I'm running the shadow government, and he was. He wasn't kidding. He was telling you the truth, okay? Uh, uh, they were doing these operations in the background that you didn't realize were going on. Trump's coming against all that. He's pulled all their money away. By the way, do you know that the prison guards in Colorado and the uh, federal employees union is fussing and very upset and has a lawsuit, I believe, against Trump right now because Trump stopped the money over at what's I call it the USAID money. Now,
Yeah.
why is USAID money, which is supposed to be for foreign aid,
CIA,
it's all CIA money?
all
Why
of
is
it.
it being used to help supplement the salaries of prison guards and to keep enough of them on the payroll? On what basis do you have all these people on the payroll and they're getting money out of USAID? What's going on there? And so they're going to sue because Trump stopped money going to USAID with the Doge thing going into the prison system for more guards. Something's wrong there. But uh, you know, uh, Trump cut off the money supply for a lot of the mischief. And they're still pissed off about it. Trump had to start starving them out. You say that you want to go to war. Okay, sometimes the best way to go to war is first shock and awe, get them to expend a lot of their arms and munitions, let them starve them out for a little while, cut off the supply chains, and then you come in there and do something. Trump's been playing a bit of rope-a-dope here. Okay, when he comes out of his corner, and tomorrow night's probably the first of several. Don't expect everything tomorrow night on the table. It's a first shot across the bow that will become more intense and then more intense again. And by the way, this is an announcement of EBS. It's not. We're not even there yet. That's all in the near future. Uh, uh, but first, it comes in stages. Why? Because we're not ready for it yet. I don't want to go to war until these guys are knocked down a few paces. So the timing is everything. And also, we want to be able to pick the point of engagement, not just the time of engagement, but the locations that we engage on. Do I want to engage them in the federal courts, which are a problem, or do I want to engage them at Gitmo? Okay, where the 200 generals have pretty good control. Let me just help you. One little thing. I apologize for being a little bit strong on this, but let me hold the conversation for just 1 second. During the Biden administration, with Nancy prancing around, a couple days after Biden was inaugurated, Nancy proposed that because the president could become feeble and not know where he's at, whatever, exactly what happened, that the nuclear command and control, the suitcase, the briefcase, should be moved to the House, and her as the speaker have that authority. Why was she doing that? Because Biden didn't get it. And she wanted to have the House force that nuclear command would go over to the Speaker of the House. Why? Because Biden didn't get it. They were trying to force a situation. They know what happened there. And by the way, what did Trump do? He's supposed to have the card on him or within arm's reach, and he cannot give it to another soul on planet Earth. He said last summer, they think I was going to give the launch codes to a teenager? Are they crazy? Because they're searching Barron's sock drawer and video files, right? Looking for like Trump would have given it to him. He didn't give it to him. What Trump did when he walked through Cheyenne Mountain is he left the card the only place on planet Earth that it could sit other than on his person or within arm's reach. And that's at the command headquarters at Cheyenne Mountain with the generals running it. And how did he still keep command and control then? Because he memorized the card. Remember early on, after he was out of the office, Biden's president, just a few months after he's out of office, they report that he'd had his medical exam. And in that medical exam said he had perfect memory. That was said for the guys in the mountain. And in the context of another investigation was going on, I won't get bogged down at 45 days after the election. 5-day, all 5 services took testimony on whether or not Biden had won the election and what if certain protocols have been met, and they said no, which kept Trump with that authority. But Trump memorized it. And when you heard from the doctors, yeah, he's got perfect memory, yeah, because he knows the entire nuclear response code. He had it in his mind. They can go strip search him in New York as many times as they want. They can go tear Mar-a-Lago apart. The card was not in an illegal place. They're not going to be able to charge him with violations for keeping the card with the nuclear codes. It's all in his mind. He memorized it, and they couldn't change. Here's the other thing that people don't understand. When Trump declared a national emergency on the 13th and then went and sealed up Cheyenne Mountain on March 15th, at that moment, no one could change the code, not even SDS could change the original codes on the launch codes. They were locked in place, and nothing Biden or SES could do or Serco could do changed any of that. It's still the same today. So this game is so much bigger than most people realize. Let Trump say what he's going to say tomorrow. Understand it's a first step, but he's making it important by doing it as a national address. He's raising the bar, and then there's probably other stuff which he'll allude to in that coming, which will be the follow-on steps to that, which, by the way, then allow that the arrests that happen related to election fraud don't have to go to the Justice Department. Think about that.
It's a lot. It's a lot to go through. Well, Juan, I gotta jump because I gotta actually go to. I have family in town, which is really.
Oh
good.
my gosh, you have a family. There's people that even want to own you at this point.
Yeah, barely, barely want to own me
completely.
Yeah. But we have a lot going on with Tina Peters, and there's much more to be had. But at the end of the day, we can anticipate that Tina will get out of jail before Christmas, correct?
I would say that that's absolutely true. President Trump is not dithering. He's on a mission. He's made it excruciatingly clear. The only thing I would add, though, is if I was anywhere in the Colorado prison system, I'd be trying to get some kind of indemnification with your personal name on it, not just members of such and so union. Your name, that you are protected from any of the coming lawsuits, civil and criminal, that may be coming for your actions. See if you can get it. I don't think you're going to get Polis and everybody else to jump in. They might give you some, something that looks like it. You better have legal counsel that's your own legal counsel to advise you and hold the course. And then if you decide that you're not getting it, or in the interim until you do get it, I'd refuse personally to work. And what's the retribution? What's the retaliation? They're gonna retaliate against you for refusing a unlawful order. Whose order is lawful? President Trump with his pardon, or Governor Polis? And you have the responsibility to determine if any agent, officer, uh, uh, employee of any government entity has the authority to promise you anything or guarantee anything or do whatever. You better double check. I'd get legal counsel,
Yeah.
because you probably don't know yourself, so they know exactly the right questions to ask and how to lock it in, because you're in very you know precarious neighborhood. Look at Tina. Just last thought, Joe. She was just a county clerk, and here she finds herself in a vice between all these players, all of the British money coming in to force our elections to go a certain way. Yeah, it's British money. Soros and others with their globalist tactics to take control of America. You have one clerk, Tina, just trying to do her job, and her whole life turned on its, end, completely disrupted. Her in prison. 70 years old, Gold Star mom, never even had a traffic ticket. Gosh, I budget for them. I mean, give me a break, okay? So any of these prison officials, any of these guards, you're just a pawn in somebody's bigger game. You better get legal counsel. You better get it right now. And before it's too late, try to lock them in. Get them to promise to cover any expenses you might have defending yourself, or attachments to your personal property because of stuff you did, because they said, no, go ahead and rob the bank. No, seriously, just drive the car. You don't have to be in the bank. Just drive the car. Come on. It's okay. Nobody's gonna know about it. Okay. Not even your mother's gonna know you were involved in this. Yeah, right. Think about it.
Look, I agree with you in a lot of different ways. I want things to move quicker. I want things to move more swiftly. I want to be able to work the problem, and I want to be able to activate and bring other people into the problem as well. Because the more people we have that are rowing in the same direction, the more probable it is that we'll get to an outcome that cannot be stopped by this deep state. So, Juan,
you just said something. Okay, barefoot. Okay. So, Governor Polis, you know what his zodiac sign is by his birth date? I never pay attention to this stuff. It doesn't. I don't live my life on this stuff. But it's Taurus, the bull. Okay, what's Trump? He's the Megador taking on the deep state bull. If there's anybody that's emblematic of the deep state bull on planet Earth, it's Polis. Okay, and Polis is on the wrong side, the receiving end of this battle. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah. Look at this. Deep state, right?
Deep state. Ooh.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. This is one of the blankets that we have. It's one of my favorite things that Jen has on her shop. But I'm just telling you, Polis is emblematic of everything that Trump is going after the deep state. He's the deep state bull. Okay. He is going to lose. He is not going to win this bullfight. And by the way, there you go. There's 2020. Gitmo. Those people that think we're wrong, let's go find out.
I would like to see that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, brother, I got to go. I got to jump, and I'm going to tell everybody else I got to jump. But Juan, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for giving us
Joe. I appreciate it so much. It's fun to have a conversation with somebody that actually gets it on the details. And go enjoy the family. And the wife and I are going to have lunch now. So
hey, enjoy Hawaii.
Yeah. Well, I try. I keep having to leave and come back. I just got back a few hours ago for a day or two, and then I got to leave again. So such is life, but it's nice to have a day or two anyway.
Just a couple days. All right. God bless you, brother.
All right, bro.
All right. Thank you. As we head into the next chapter is going to be when Tina gets out. What are we going to do then? Like, what then? And I think that you're going to start seeing things move much, much, much more quicker. Now, with that said, there's other things that we have to consider, and those are, is everything going in the right direction? I get Tina Peters out. It just we've strung along. I'm not saying I don't believe the words that are being spoken, but I'm a show me guy. Just put me in the show me state, because a lot of what we're actually dealing with right now is not difficult to fix. It just takes brute strength. And President Trump wants to go in the right direction, but he also made sure he had a hot mic, and he did it on purpose. And that is, I keep, nominating people, and they keep basically running the clock on me. So as we start to see that, is this the left inside of the Republican Party running the clock? There's no difference between what happened in 2017 and what's happening currently right now. None. And nobody has been arrested, and nobody is in jail other than the good guys. So I would tell you to pray a lot. Make sure you stay prayed up. And we'll get to some of these other things that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about them tomorrow. I forgot to tell Juan that I've got 10 days until I make a decision, until I make the announcement of whether or not I am or am not going to run for governor of the state of Colorado. So I've heard some of your comments. Some say, hey, yeah, you should run. Others say, oh, Joe, they got plenty of people that are already in that fight. So let me kind of tell you guys a little bit of how I see things, because I think this might be helpful. Or maybe it's not helpful. I've heard the calls that, hey, Joe, run for Secretary of State. So let me just give you the reality of this. I don't want to work for those that can't solve the problem. I don't want to work for those that can't see the problem. I don't want to work for those that can't identify the problem or, can't lead. I don't want to run for any position where I have to take orders from someone else who can't see the bottom of the bucket. And I certainly don't want to get to a place where we are looking at what happens to other people, the poorest among us, Tina Peters and others, and say it can wait. So no, I won't. I will not run for Secretary of State. I will not run for a position, nor do I really care if I run for governor or don't run for governor. I'm going to make a decision on what's good for my family. And in other words, I have to make sure that they're on board. But if I'm also looking at that, I also have to look at whether or not I feel like I can win. Now, I believe that if I ran, I could win easily. Why? Because I'm not going to talk to you typically. You'll be able to hear me, but I'm going to go talk to the people that I think matter most. And that is the part of the tree that's not getting any nutrients, not getting any love. It's not getting any attention. It's not getting any of the resolve that's necessary in order to keep the entire tree standing up. See, I don't believe that the tree of liberty needs to be refreshed with blood. How about you just refresh it with a little bit of nutrients so that it can thrive? So we'll see how it goes. I got 10 more days. I got nine and a half more days before I have to make that decision. So let's pray it out. Father God, thank you for having Juan on the show. Thank you for the support that Tina has been able to garner across the entire country and across the entire world. I'm grateful for the many people that have stood up for Tina Peters, and I'm grateful for the things that President Trump has done to support Tina Peters. Father, I just ask you give us the resolve and the ability to go forward and to manifest this into real solving of problems, to restore you to our community, to our country, to the world, and be able to fend off this evil and push it back into the hole it came from. We recognize what it is going to take, Father, and we are here to say, choose us, send us. We are here to serve, Father. We ask these things humbly in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, I will see you guys later. God bless you. Make sure you keep yourself straight, upright, all the good things that you can do. And I'll see you on the other side. God bless you.
Yo, in the shadows of the vote, she stood her ground. Mesa County queen, no fear, truth profound. Hard drives whisper secrets they don't want to hear. Election ghosts in the machine, crystal clear. They called it breach through the book 9 years deep. But she flipped the script, made the liars weep. From clerk's desk to cell block, spirit unbroken. One woman's war, words unspoken. Rise up, warriors here to call the night. Justice echoing through the fight. Bars of steel can't change. Federal doors slam shut, appeal on ice. State games rigged, paying the price. Threats in the dark, knives in the yard. 3 times they struck, left her scarred. But Trump's voice booms, let her walk free. Pardon paper. rise. Rise up.
Warriors hear the call tonight. Justice echoing through the fight. Bars of steel can't chain the light. Stand tall, ignite, make it right. We won't fade, we won't break. For the truth, wide awake.
Echo in the streets, let it ring. Heroes don't bow, they sing. No more silence, no more chains. Voices unite, break the pains. From the heartland to the hall of power. This ain't over, it's our hour.
Sing it loud, feel the fire. Truth's the fuel, lift her higher.
Yeah, from the cell to the stars above. One fight turns to endless love. Rise up, make it right. We fight. Through the night, make it right. We fight. Through the night, make it right.
Rise up untamed. In the heart of the fire where the wild ones roam, Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Tame nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever